Black, 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 black. As I said in the beginning, like it does not get the credit that it deserves, but it's all based on the consistency thereof. You know, it's all based on that because of as we get more people listening to poetry, recording it, putting it out there on media, television. You know, yeah, that's where we're gonna get the receiving that we deserve. You know, because that's we engage the society. The city is swallowed in smoke. At that moment I sat against the dark skies, teetering my fears on the edges of a tainted reality. Implored by sounds of wailing infants from moral obligation to relieve their suffering. They stretched out their arms to be met by their mother's touch, who had miserably failed in defining and embarking on stages beyond what they naively embraced as serenity. In the midst of Hades' call, gushing through my ventricles, conversations with the dead and the living, remnants of my ancestors measured from the heights of my shoulders, as I shepherd flocks with a broken stick that measures the distance of its shadow. Millennium's visions will feast on the depths of our archive sanities. Our days are filled with buckets of light, but she cries every night she cries. In moments she noticed her daughters sleeping their hunger. The struggle had met stiff resistance ensuing their difficulties. Her griefs overwhelms memory and she suffocates. Yes, we hear the wolves in full moons begotten black people. Full moons begotten black people until it all becomes to our darkness. A poisonous contradiction remains under an ancient culture's tongue, and it disintegrates memory. Over generations we bleed legends of the goat, bouncing off the walls of an old shaman's cave. From their loins we are stained with our greater parents' pain, to seek fellows in the sophistry of hate, the wilderness in our societies. The city is filled with smoke. Against the dark skies I sat, implored by sounds of wailing infants, victims to these fallacies, diseased and cold. And this cancels out the white-robed Messiah descending on a white cloud. When I'm cleansing out for the dead, I've made Bugogo Nabumkuru guardians of our village, to awaken the slumbering serpent that serves our spirit flight into a black path of veneration, the deepest recess in our hearts, away from these erroneous conceptions about the real nature of us, to shun no exertion, no obstacle in our search, and in the grave silence you can hear the revolutionary rhythm in our march. To embrace every moment we set to discover our consciousness. From the sun a fire kindled by our foremothers, boiling herbal pots to heal our bodily impediments. The city is filled with smoke, dark and thick smoke. So, like in the general artscape, poetry does not receive the credit it deserves, but it all boils back to where poetry is rooted from. because originally we don't find poetry within the arts fraternity itself. We find that it's rooted from a time where there was advices, prophets. So poets were those people who would prophesy, like maybe a king would dream. When a king, normally, like also when you read in the Bible, you find that when kings had their dreams, they used to call for prophets or poets to come and explain their dreams. This morning I decided to live in my garden, planting pyramids so they one day scrape the skies and some more blot the sun rays casting shadows, until the difference tells about the difference that drips off the melanin from my mother's headdress. And that's how I became keen to the darkness I am, a four-man limb with a profusion of supplies, all within rigid constraints for a blueprint for my design, timetable for completion. And in testimonial mute, my imagination has accomplished the impossible. My heart beats from a different position this evening. Even Eve denies the fragments ripped off my cage. My lungs contract in breath of truth, diaphragm strained. So I position my stones at the centers of the earth, where the heavy dark cloud finds its buoyant favor with the crust, and it never let goes. And you need to understand that there will be no wilting involved unless I open my eyes, and Lasagna's ankles are still shackled with the same irons from yesterday's grief. The only common ground he shares with his siblings is the authority they birthed the firm mind. My muse, balanced mantra, eyes pierced into the skies, bending rainbows so they dissipate into the blue, into a dream that sought to fertilize this barren land when I kneel, presenting my wrists and carpals, wounded by the scratch in search for better spleens. A lighter struggle fluctuates from this revolutionary tongue-tied speech when you're seated on that white armchair, and the silence of your history throws darts of doubt upon your life's target black. I'm here to remind you that our souls are liberated from its bodily impediments. We are born from the pillaged temples that carried inscriptions addressed to your neophytes. See, ours is a social plight, a Dante's courageous people, confined in the stillness of their solitude. What we need is our brotherhood. We need our sisters to step the lineage of our descendants across their bending spines. Take a leap out of the struggle, out of the misery of this dusty street. Are we still gonna kneel with palms placed over our innocent heads, reciting verses that further drift us away from our ancestral craftsmanship? As Zambia, we need to find ourselves. Black.